Okay, happy Saturday, people. Uh, a very good morning to all of you. We are back again, and we are very happy to have a coach, a life coach, transformative coach with us today, Mickey Cohn. We will be talking to him about his journey, his experiences, and his stories and anything that he wants to share with us today. Uh, so we will get started with our format as I roll the video, introduction video, and then you will get to see and meet and listen to our guest of today, Saturday. So here we go. I leave you all with this introduction video and then we'll catch up. Namaste. I welcome you to my podcast, Holistic Conversations, with your host, Mamina Das. Join me in my journey, in all of our journey, because we are all unique and we are the universe. Welcome to Holistic Conversations. Here we are. Namaste, Mickey.
Namaste, Mamina. Thanks for having me.
We are very happy to have you with us today on a Saturday morning. I welcome you to Holistic Conversations, and we are really looking forward to listening to you today. What's
Great.
up?
Things are good. Life is good. I've been really busy and active, and a lot of things are going on. A lot of transformation. Last year was messy and year of growing, and this year is already off to a really smoother start. I'm sure there'll be bumps, but some of the lessons learned are starting to actually pay off already. So it feels good.
That's cool. I really loved the way you said it might be bumpy. Who knows? Who knows? But there's
Hmm.
a preparedness there. Okay, whatever. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think
So
we're all
that's
designed. It's taken me a long time to learn, but I think we're all designed to be here and thrive. And so once we start to get that in our bones, it gets simpler, if not always easy.
that's right. That's very right. Uh, but yeah, I see the smile in your face, and I think that eases us little bit.
Good. I'm glad.
So, Mickey, let's get to know a little bit about you.
Sure. What would
How
you like to know?
have you been here? What brought you here? What called you? I would ask.
Wow.
I would like to ask.
Well, I think I grew up the good boy. I wanted to be the good boy and help. And I did a human potential course way back in the 1990s called the Landmark Forum, which was a seminal moment, a seminal event in my life. And in that course, they had a distinction called coaching. And that course was not about knowing, it wasn't about giving you a recipe for success. It was more about challenging and examining and looking at how human beings operate and how we live life. And it was really great because you'd be in a room with 200 different people of different backgrounds and ages and professions, and there'd be a conversation between one of them and the leader, and around the room you start to hear giggles and gasps as people saw themselves in that person. They looked nothing like you, looked nothing, had nothing in common other than they were another human being in this room at this time. And you could see something in them that was, oh my God, there it is with me. And when you saw that, of course, when you have an insight, you can't unsee it. And from there, my life changed. And the short thing that happened in that course was I went in with a lot of complaints about my family. Love them, but I had a complaint about each one of them, and so there's a heaviness and a clutter in the way. And when I came out of that class, when I came out of that course, that weekend course, I was just flying, and I just was so light, and I really like love them on a new level, like without, it's not on a new level without all the noise. I can accept them for who they were. And that doesn't mean we don't still have our moments, but there was a lot of freedom, and it was really eye opening, and it was truly transformative. And so
That's
that's where I started.
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Uh, Everything starts with the family, believe it or not, because we come from there. So it's very natural, and we feel that gravity, that heaviness, which it's very difficult to detach from, and it keeps us pulling towards those feelings, like they are so active in us, like we want to
Hmm.
complain, we want to be angry, we want to do all sort of things. But
Hmm.
when you said that, when it's only a difference of understanding, it's only a difference of understanding, like you said, I could see them as they are, and that made you feel lighter. That is so amazing. That is
Hmm.
so amazing. And I think it applies, uh, well, of course it starts with family, but then it generalizes overall. It becomes a very active part of accepting people throughout, in our social uh, or work or wherever we go. That basic understanding that, okay, that's the way they see me. It's okay.
Hmm. Well, I think more importantly, the more comfortable we get in our own skin and accept ourselves, it really doesn't matter how people see us. Because first of all, we only can live our life. We can only live. We only have the experience we have. Number one, and number two, they get it at some level, whether they fully accept it and embrace it, or whether they resist it, or whatever. But they know who we are by how we be and how we show up. And it just make again, it's like it makes life simpler, if not easy. Because stuff will happen. But anyway.
Yeah, stuff will happen. That's true. Um, I also liked when you said that uh, how comfortable we are accepting the way we are, like how we
Hmm.
see ourselves
Yeah.
throughout the journey. It's like going inside, diving deeper, and that's a whole infinite world, like
Yes, it is.
there's no end to it.
No, there's not, which is a scary concept at first.
That's true, but I think it stills us, like there's some tranquility, peace, slowly understanding the definition of peace. When we dive inside, it's fear, but then slowly we learn, okay, this is peace. Maybe we don't know.
Yeah, it's look, I hesitate to say anything like definitively because I think it could because if life and experience is infinite, there's many ways to experience many things, in countless ways. But what my experience has been is that it's right here all the time, and if I can, literally take a deep breath and exhale, I immediately it's like the door that was open just a crack now opens up a little bit more. And the more I kind of slow down and get quiet, the more I get tapped into the divine or the universe or uh, our authentic selves or higher self, whatever word terminology you want to give it. But in that space, there's just so much more possibility because what shows up is I don't know if it's the divine. I mean, again, all this language is not doesn't cover it. But at the end of the day, I like to say it's me at my purest. It's me without the thinking. It's me, just me.
Yeah. So thinking is not happening there. It's just flowing with whatever is.
Or thinking is happening, but we're not putting our attention on it and fixing it. Like staring at it. It's just I think the brain is always the mind and the brain are always working, but
Yeah.
we actually kind of I don't know connect with it on a different level. We like plug in and it's just a different experience.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's nice to know. how everybody sees it, like
Hmm.
everything is going on here, but we are not consciously or unconsciously, we are not uh, taking that into consideration, but it's there. But we are going on with something else and we are flowing, and it's easy, it's simple. But when we think of brain and breath going together, uh, it becomes difficult. But I learned something the way you were breathing, there was only breath, there was no thinking there.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Or again, my attention was on the breath. I put my attention on that as opposed to my attention on my thoughts.
Yeah,
Or whether it be liking a thought or resisting a thought. I was
yeah.
just, I mean, that to me is the easiest meditation, or at least it puts you in a meditative state if you allow it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, yes. And I think that's a very natural tool that we are
Hmm.
born with and we are capable. It's just that we don't consider that, that's not gonna do nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's funny is when I first was introduced to meditation, well, first of all, I had all these judgments about it, and I was crappy at it, so I stopped doing it pretty quickly. Um, and I don't know, I had something else I lost the thought, but basically, it's always there and accessible. It's always there, and no, I don't know if there's anything more to say about it. But when you are aware of it, and you drop into that space, if however you want to describe it, you know immediately. You know immediately.
Yeah, and that's the beauty. I think we immediately uh, come to our senses, and it's beautiful. Again, we are
Yeah,
like, okay, I'm ready.
yeah, yeah. And the thing is, we're always ready. We just are too busy being distracted by the thinking we have.
Yes, yes, that's right. Yes, yes, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's learn something about when you started your course. That
Hmm.
was transformative for you. But then
Oh, for sure.
when when you are now a coach, how is it different? How difficult it is, or like, what is your uh, thought process, or how would you like to uh, say as a coach? As a coach, how life has been.
Can you say a little more about that? I'm not quite sure. I mean, so in other words, how have I experienced coaching as a profession? How has it been for me
Yes.
as a profession? It's been a challenge. It's been a challenge. I mean, first of all, as being coaching and being with someone in a coaching conversation, there's nothing else I'd rather do. I mean, I love it. I'm connected when I'm never more consistently connected to another human being or to myself or to the world and the universe than when I am coaching somebody, because there's no there's little or no ego in it. Occasionally it'll drip in, but it's about me serving the person in front of me. It's about me seeing and listening and hearing it and really getting that person in such a way that what I hear and what I see, I can come up with questions and maybe hold up the mirror or shine a light on something for them so they see it for themselves. I don't have answers. Well, I have plenty of answers, but they're not of any value. What's really important is that the person with me is sees it for themselves, because that's the only. And by the way, that's only the first step. I used to think, oh, have the insight and everything will be great. Oh yes, I'm this, I'm that, I see this. But I forgot, or actually, I didn't really get that you had to actually now take that insight and implement it in the world and live it and experience it and test it out so that it can be yours. See, I'll always see that insight, but I have very little access to it unless I actually make it part of my life. And I was a slow learner. It took me about 25 to 30 years to recognize that, oh, you have to actually do the work, or what I thought was the work. And I used to have a lot of, it's really interesting because transformation just becomes information once if you check it off like you learned something, so another check box, check the box, check the box, check. Oh yeah, I know that, I know that, I know that, I know that. And then, what they say, learning is the enemy of I'm sorry, Knowing is the enemy of learning. And so when you know something, you tend not to look anymore. You tend not to challenge things or check things out. You already know this
Yeah.
guy's that way. The market stinks, and coaching's hard, and blah 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 blah. My wife is this. I'm that. So it's very much
Yeah.
about being, again, bringing that sense of presence and curiosity. Maybe I think curiosity is probably the great word for it, because it's really about just, be that, like that child, and try things out. Look at the butterfly. Oh, I'm this, that, I'm that, and just trying things and seeing how they work, and falling down and getting back up, or whatever's involved in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful that you said uh, transformation is information, you
Well,
know?
I missed, if you heard it that way. If I said it that way, it's incorrect. There's information, and there's transformation.
Okay.
We take it in, like, if we take it in like it's information, something to
Yeah.
learn, boom, boom, boom. It has a different value than if you actually live it and test out the premise and test out what you saw. Then it becomes because then something else becomes available.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. It can only happen by doing or by
Yeah,
being.
but yes, exactly. Yeah, I would say both. You have to do, and
Both,
then
both.
how you be in that moment when you're doing it, or
Yeah.
what shows up is the transformation. It's like,
Yeah.
here's I have this famous, the famous time in life. In 1491, the world was flat.
Mm-hmm.
Then Christopher Columbus in 1492 sailed and came back. All the still, oh wow, the world is round, the world is round. Great. Now everybody got excited first, but if you didn't go out a boat and test it, or you didn't, and like any information, if the world is flat out there, it's going to be flat here in the world. You'll have other views of the world that are flat. If you don't test that premise over here on dry land, you're not gonna have that experience of the world being round. You'll have the knowledge of it, which is two very different things.
Yeah. It only can be felt or
Yes.
experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that experience, how can we sit and how can we not do an experience? We have to do. I mean, uh, it might be passive, it might be active, it might be a change of a thought, it might be anything, but there is doing, being, doing. Being is present with the doing, and then
Yes.
that leads you to a different door, a
Right.
different perception. So,
Right. Well, if you walk through the door, you'll have the new experience. If you just look at it, oh, there's the door. Wow, look at that. There it is. There's transformation lies beyond that door.
yeah,
That's not transformation. That's seeing something. So
yeah,
it's like you literally have to step into that space. I had this really funny story about myself. A couple of years ago, my wife and I were starting our new chapter in life, and we just come off an intense period of she was caregiving for her mom and her uncle who passed, and they had a great life past their 90s, and we were looking at what we wanted to do next. And she loves to travel, so she was ready to go, and we were trying to figure out what we want to do, but she was also tired, and she didn't want to plan a lot. So after going back and forth for a couple months, we said, let's go to Italy, because we love Italy. We have some place there. Tuscany in particular is our favorite place, and I'm at home. As soon as we get there, I'm at home. So and as soon as we said it, we had this moment of like a flash, like you see, like a smile and feeling. So we knew that was it. But I also had this concern: how am I going to build my coaching practice? How am I going to take care of my clients? I'm going over to a place I don't know if the internet's going to be good or blah blah blah, whatever. And I had this whole thing going on, and it, I was excited, but I woke up in the middle of the night, and I swear this is the crazy. It's not the first time it happened, but it's one of two. I woke up literally shaking from the tips of my toes to the top of my head, like not even scared, like terrified, like so. Holy cow, my body like this. And I realized, okay, so you're scared of this thing, and I just kind of had to ride it out. Which, by the way, there's something in that as well. I just didn't try to do anything. I didn't resist it. I just kind of wrote it out. And then a funny thing happened. 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, a month later, we went to Italy. And I didn't have any problems with the internet. They have internet over there, and it's really good. But I had this whole thing worked up in my head. I wasn't going to be able to take care of it. And it was real. It was so real that I woke up quaking, which actually points a lot to don't believe everything we think. Like maybe our thoughts aren't true or aren't accurate. And
Yeah.
definitely that there's almost a feeling for almost every thought you have, your physical being experiences something. And the important thing is to recognize if it's true or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I mean, it's a real experience, somatic and mind and everything was
Yeah.
involved. It was a holistic experience for you
Oh, for
to,
certain.
yeah, and and it worked out, even though you had that fear, you lived that fear so much that your body reacted to it,
Hmm.
and but nothing of that sort happened. So some
But I
this
had
is
to
a very
walk through the
good,
door.
yeah. Yeah. You had to try it out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was so funny. It was laughable. It was like I forget when I got there. Like we got to the first place, and we hadn't been to that particular place before. And as soon as I saw the internet, it was over. There was no like I didn't even there was no worry. There was nothing.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And how difficult it was to accept that uh, peace. Did you receive it well? Was it like
Oh yeah.
shocking,
It
or
was
it was like
yeah. It was
sometimes
almost like it was like knowing. It was like dummy. Of course it was. What did you expect? I mean, I have friends. I talk to my friends. Either through Zoom or WhatsApp or on a phone. They live in Australia. They live in Europe. They live wherever they live. And I'm like, I don't think twice. And all of a sudden, in this context of me taking a trip with my wife was going to, this whole thing was going to happen. There was no logic to it. So it was like, of course, you dummy.
oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing about your you experiencing that moment, because
Oh yeah.
those are very important. Okay, things worked out really well, but how did you receive when things went well? Like
Oh, it was
that
great.
is the
It
thing.
was great.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it's
No,
great.
it was totally. I'm sorry to answer that exactly, but yeah, It was great. I had fun. It was if there was any smidgen of it remaining when I got there, it was gone, and
Wow.
we had a ball. And in fact, I remember that first week, the weather was not what we expected. It was rainy and it was great. And I remember I actually even did a little video I posted just enjoying the rain, standing out in the rain,
Wow.
in this place, and just it was gray and it was it wasn't cold, but it was cooler than I would have preferred, and I just enjoyed the moment.
Amazing, amazing, Mickey. This is
Yeah.
beautiful. This is beautiful. And I'm so happy to at least talk about these experiences. Sometimes we are so caught up that we don't
Hmm.
have time, or we are not like, it's like a very childish moment, like, yay, I'm enjoying myself, the weather, the rain, and everything. It's like full of life.
Hmm. Yeah, and I love that you said childish because that's what we need to be more of: childlike, curious, playful, imaginative, curious, wondered. In a sense of awe and wonder. There's so much. I mean, I've heard quotes before. I think Einstein did one about how either everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. And it's like, all you have to do is look out. I'm looking out the window right now and I see a tree and I see grass and I see, that are living and breathing as we speak. And I see homes that were built that started with a single thought in somebody's head. And with, the more attention and energy that was put on that thought, the more it went from being a formless idea to form in the world. And it's just like, it's just amazing if you really stop and look, if we really get curious. We're just so
Yeah.
distracted by all the conversations, in the world of making money and getting stuff and, being good or being bad or fill in the blank.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And well, there's a lot of difference between um, enjoying the rain and enjoying the bank balance. There's a lot of difference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I think I like the rain better.
I like the energy of the rain. That's what I had in the rain.
Yeah.
It was more grounded
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
wet.
mean, fun. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's fun. Okay, I want to ask you something. Like now that you are a
Mhm.
coach and you have seen people going from one stage of their life to another stage, how do you feel about it as a human being? Like, how does that make you feel? Like, because sometimes when I see somebody happy or smiling nowadays, we don't see that many people uh, smiling, or they are always like caught up, you know. But if I see somebody smiling, I definitely not miss and compliment them. Hey, you look very pretty, or
Mhm.
it's so nice to see you smiling, and something like that. Uh, I also become happy when I see somebody happy, you know. So I want to ask you, like, how has that impacted you as a human being, seeing others progress or living a better life?
Oh wow, it's food, it's nutrients, it's oxygen. I mean, I love it. That's why I do this. It's for much of my life, which was a pretty comfortable life, I struggled a lot with my inner thinking, and it got in the way of enjoying life and enjoying myself. And when I can sit down with someone and they see something, and all of a sudden you can usually can just see it. You'll see either the mouth, the jaw drop, and or they'll gasp, or they'll smile, and you can see 5, 10, 15, 20 years just drop from them, and they straighten up a little, and they're smiling. It's beautiful. There's nothing more. I mean, that's what I do this for. That's the mana. That's the gold. That's the currency, really, because this is one of those metaphysical things. I think there's an unseen connection. We feel everybody, and we're connected to everybody anyway. And so when you see that, or you experience it, you can't help but get a hit. And then of course the whatever chemicals fire in the brain, and electricity fires, and you're just that much more present to that feeling. Just like if you saw something sad, you'd get sad. But to me, when somebody sees, oh wow, when they see something they didn't see, they were looking at it the whole time and they couldn't see it for what it was, or they knew it was there, but they saw it this way, and all of a sudden they see it this way. Same thing, nothing's changed, and oh boy, that big obstacle is like this. It's gone. So it's just, it's to me, it's look, I want to make money. You have to make money. Got to pay bills. Got to want to have some experiences that take money. But the
Yep.
true currency that I've learned in the last year and a half or so is the experiences I have moment to moment. And to me, there's nothing more thrilling or exciting or engaging than being with someone in a conversation that'll make a difference in their life, and for them seeing something. Because not only do I get to see them experiencing it, and then worlds literally open up for them, but I learn something. I get to feel it. And feeling that way is, to me, that's what really we look for all these experiences in life. Well, money can buy me this, so I'll feel this way. Well, no, I don't have to do is have a conversation with somebody. Coaching conversations, for to make a difference. And even sometimes not even that, you can have a regular conversation if you have that with somebody. But the beauty of the coaching conversation is that there's such a it's a privilege to coach, because
Mm.
people are not only they're not only are they giving you their money, but they're giving you their trust. They're giving you themselves, and it's a beautiful thing. And there's no more precious gift or um, bounty that in experiencing that conversation and that connection and that relationship, because people aren't going to open up if they don't trust, and then they're not connected. I think one of the things I do well is I create that space. I'm here with you. I'm not sitting across them. I'm next to them. All right, let's go. Let's do this together.
Wow, wow, beautiful. And um, has it started with a fear, like connecting with people, or it was just like, let's just go with it, however it is?
Do you mean in the coaching conversation, or when I'm
Yeah,
meeting people, or when I'm meeting people
yeah,
in
it's
to
no,
create
it's
clients?
about your coaching, like uh, connecting with people and sharing their trust, their vision, their suffering, or whatever.
you know, so in other words, so when I have a conversation with somebody, I'm always curious, whether it's professional coaching or I meet somebody, and I really just try to be curious about them and see and not see, well, see and hear who they are and what they're up against or what they're dealing with and what they're creating. And in that, so for me, there's not too much fear. I may have some chatter about what if I let myself get in the way and, my thoughts, and I may have some opinions, but I do my best to put them aside, and then I get back to listening and hearing what they have to say. And then if I hear something in what they're saying, or that there's something I might be able to help them, I would say, hey, look, I can even, if you're interested, I'd be willing to sit down with you. We can have a 90-minute conversation, coaching conversation. It's complimentary, no strings, no no strings attached, no obligations, and we have a conversation. And in that space, when I sit down with them, I'm already connected. If I'm curious and I'm listening, I'm connected. I'll find the connect. In fact, I don't even have to find the connection. The connection is there. I just have to be open to it. If I'm there trying to come in and tell them I know this, I know that, and I'm trying to get a client or I'm trying to tell them what to do, different energy, different experience. But I think I am pretty good at is just being with people. And so when I meet people, I'm usually, I'm curious and I want to help if I can or whatever. So in that space, there's no fear for me because I'm not listening here. I'm here, and they feel that, and so then they feel safe. And even if they don't feel 100% safe, they feel safe enough to have the conversation, and then we go from there. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it does. It does. Like when you said, like, I'm listening and I'm curious. So this moment you said you are listening, you're already connected. So yeah,
Yeah.
a very spiritual thing that's happening. Listening is really a very, very uh, spiritual quality, I believe. Like we connect
Mm-hmm.
through listening. Like, and
Oh, sure.
yeah, yeah, it is among the top five spiritual qualities. Listening, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
that's really nice to know. And I wanted to ask something, but I forgot. Anyways,
Join the
um,
club.
yeah. Yes, I want to ask you, like Mickey 25, 30 years ago and Mickey now. How do you feel the difference between the two?
Oh God. In some ways, there's no difference. It feels like, and in other ways, there's a lot. Um, hmm. So I would say that when I'm trusting, so trust didn't really exist back then. There was knowledge, but there wasn't real trust. It wasn't like
Wow.
trust for trust's sake. And that's relatively new for me, like really consciously connecting to it and allowing myself to trust that this will turn out. Um, I would say the biggest thing that's happened in some of the work I've done, and I did some work, some consciousness work, where I was really able to get outside of my body and kind of observe and see myself and see something other, something from a remove from 30,000 feet, so to speak. And just the act of that, which was very short, it didn't last long. It was profound, but somehow some of the bindings in my brain got loosened. And so now things I would say, that's crazy. I would have said that's crazy. I say, maybe. Look, I'm talking to you through a screen. There's glass and there's metal and plastic, and you're 1,800 miles away, and we're talking like you're right in front of me. So anything's possible if we really get curious and take a look. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is I'm trying to become less knowing and more open and more curious. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. Before it was more about survival and trying to get it right. And don't get me wrong, that still shows up, but it's yeah, way too much. But I have a little more facility with it, a little more, be able to choose or manage it. I can't control it, but I can choose or manage. I can choose to think of something else, or I can choose we talked about the breath earlier. To me, it's nature's reset button. whatever state I'm in the moment before that, I can now shift to something else if I take a breath or several or just get quiet. So, yeah, I think that may have answered the question.
Yes, it did. I think after asking you the question, I was just sitting and realizing, wow, this is a big question. I mean, it's really vast. It
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't have a defined answer, but there are different ways of experiencing. That's the way I have received your answers, like different
Yeah.
meaning, profound meaning to different kind of feelings, like.
Something that occurs to me in this conversation, it's like, we talk about, you talked about early how this is a deep dive, it's infinite. Like we go, it's infinite. And yet we then talk about like ways that, like the right way to do it or certain ways that work. But there's infinite ways. And it really, words don't do it justice. It's really beyond words, which I'm sure you've heard many times before. And, who can, I can share words are great because they identify things, they give things some definition, and they also are limiting or they're expansive. And, if I'm saying the word transformation, first of all, I have my experience of it. There's the definition of it, and then there's your listening of it and what you know of it, and then your experience. And that's at least four things of removal, different, so there could be any, we can agree that transformation is good and have
Yeah,
two vastly different experiences of it.
true, true,
So
yes.
now extrapolate that over 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And
Mm.
um, every way is a way. Every way is a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yes, that's correct.
It's not mine. It's an old one, but it's so true.
Yes,
It really
yes.
is.
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice that you have answered your question, not in a very defined way, but in different stages of how you have found yourself and how you have really experienced it. So
Mhm.
I think that keeps us more open to uh, knowing more and keep going. I see that when you answer your questions, there's no stop or pause. This is not arrival. It's still going on. There's a
Yeah.
journey there. It's like we are still going on.
Well, we're so trained to have the answer and to get to a place, but there's no place to get to. When I felt the fear and I was trembling in bed, I didn't have to go anywhere. And when I wrote it out and I finished, I was still in the same place. And then when I got into Italy and I was in I didn't, nothing changed. It was still the same. There's nothing. It's all the same. Now I'm getting off the track, but there's something. You're nodding, but it's it's here all the time, and we either have our attention on it or we're thinking. And if we're thinking, which isn't bad, but it's just thinking, and we just have to kind of recognize it for what it is, because again, if it's infinite, there's so many choices. How could we possibly know the answer?
That's very right. And it's so nice talking to you, Mickey. Uh, it feels like we are just flowing. We don't have a set intention like, wow, I got my answer, my sentence is complete, or I have arrived, or something like that. It's more like driving you towards, okay, there's more to know, there's more to do, there's just going on, just going on in simple terms, just going on, keep going, be
Or
curious.
there's less to do, and keep going.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, that's right. Yes, yes, yes. That's right. That's very right.
Yeah.
If I had have to ask you, like, uh, what do you think we should practice in every day so that we are more ourselves, authentic selves, and we are at peace with ourselves? What we can do?
I think. Well, look, I know the one thing that I do is a lot is slowing down and taking a breath.
Slowing down.
There's so
Yes.
much there's so much data and so much information and so many distractions and such a the world, particularly in America, it's such a culture of rush, 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 get, buy, 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 eat, 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 eat. It's just, you can never have enough because it's always about getting something so we can be better. It's baked into culture. So we step into every morning we wake up, there we are. So to me, when my thinking gets out ahead of me and I'm starting to get a little flaky or upset or worried or whatever it is, I'll just stop. I'll say, okay, just take a breath and really just put my attention on the breathing. I don't have to think anything. I don't have to figure anything out. Just, and then I can generally everything kind of slows down and I can see it again. It's like there's a great. I got this from somebody that this. You see the snow globe. You know, if you think of the snowflakes as the thoughts, you know, generally this is, you know, we wake up to the day and we're thinking, and then something happens and either it doesn't go our way or we have this big question. We start thinking, and we start thinking and thinking and thinking, and we're so busy thinking that everything gets really murky and cloudy. And that's kind of, you know, there we go. That's us in the middle of a crisis or an upset or just being stuck. And so by taking a breath, you settle, you let it all settle, and nothing changes in there. The house is still there, the trees are still there, and all that. But what now is it's clear, and in the clarity, you start to see things for what they are, not for all that stuff around them that you're adding to it. And then you can choose. Now you may not always make the right choice, you may not always get the result you want, but there's a quietness and a clarity and a confidence that goes into making that choice and living that thing. And I would say more often than not, you get the result you want, you get something that if it's not exactly what you wanted, it moves you down the road. And if it doesn't, then you say, okay, I'm not going to go that way, I'm going to go this way. And it's
Yeah,
just that
different choice.
quietness.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Wow, I love that example that you really showed us today. And visualizing that, I feel like, oh, I should just be breathing and sitting and relaxing rather than thinking so much.
yeah, yeah, because that's where inspiration lives in intuitiveness and genius and clarity and love and peace. And from there you can create anything.
Yeah, yeah. So nice, Mickey. It was wonderful talking to you. And
Thank you.
thank you for your real life, sharing your real life experiences.
Hmm.
And it was fun.
Thanks. I mean, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it. And perhaps one day we'll do it again.
Yes, of course. Why not? We'll see some different example then.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're infinite, so I'm sure we'll see something.
Well, then, Mickey, you have a wonderful Saturday. Thank you for being with us. And it was lovely talking to you. Thank you for your
Same here.
time.
Thank you, dear.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank
Bye bye.
you. Bye bye.